Molly Ringwald can't seem to stop talking smack about The Breakfast Club and the entire era of John Hughes films that she was, of course, a huge part of. Every time that these movies are brought up, she has something negative to say about it.
She just has to talk shit.
She just must do it. And it seems kind of ungrateful, but this was brought up when she was on the Drew Barrymore show. And she talked about showing The Breakfast Club, obviously a classic movie, to her children, who are Gen Z. And they noticed that the movie has problematic themes.
Let's listen to this clip here.
The fact that I was basically, my character is sexually harassed through the whole thing. Yeah. And then I go for him at the end. They did not get that at all.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And I was really happy that they didn't like that. That was...
Nothing in the world is as interesting as Drew Barrymore just said it was.
She's so good at her job.
It's not a turn on for my daughter. And I said, well, yeah, back when I was making those movies, that was a turn on. Like, if anybody treated you badly, that's the one that you wanted.
I mean, the men still do it.
That idea is starting
still a thing. The less you want me, the more I want.
The fact that it has a name now proves that it's still a thing. Right?
Yeah.
But having said that, there is still so much that I love in the movie. The fact that it really breaks down these characters and says that there's just something that we all have in common and that we're all feeling the same thing no matter what we look like and what our social stratum is.
Yes.
And that kids have a voice and your voice is important and it's important to speak up. So, I mean, all of those to me make the film really meaningful. You know, like
aside from the fact that everyone is white, and that's obviously
I was going to say, it's like, what about the diversity? Oh, there's 220s there.
Okay, sorry, let me catch up. This one from Bad Comedy says, a theme park that kills you. I've heard of patient-assisted suicide, but theme park-assisted suicide, we need to fix the U.S. healthcare system. Oh, and happy birthday, Brett.
Thank you. I mean, you know, if Canada's over there with the MAID program, America's got to top it. So we've got to have, like, MAID with extra steps where it's just, it's a high-flying MAID where it's just a less boring way to die.
The Disney adults died doing what they loved. Yep. Another from Brandon M says, happy birthday, Brett. I save my super chats for special occasions so you don't become spoiled brats. I haven't missed an episode this year and listen while I work on the house or driving. Love you guys and talk again, episode 700.
Thank you. Just checking in.
We plan to see you there.
We will see you there. We'll make a note. Thank you.
We will stay humble in the meantime.
Yeah, so there's just something that I find unbelievably annoying about, and to be fair to her, she didn't just bash it here. It was measured in her response. But I just think that, who was the artist who talked about, they don't understand why singers get sick of performing like their biggest songs. They're like, this is the song that bought you your house. Why would you hate performing it? I forget who it was. Somebody in the chat will know who I'm talking about instantly. But they talked
plenty
about
of examples.
But the point is like a lot of artists, they get big and then they don't like performing.
Well, it's like Paramore stopped performing Misery Business because they said it was misogynist.
But even that's not because they got sick of performing it or because they think it's old news now. They got sick of it because of some weird social justice reason, and they went back to performing that song. In
a sense, you're kind of saying that your fans are wrong for liking it. Yeah. And this is after more recently, Molly Ringworm said
you just know she got called that when she was a kid.
She said that The Breakfast Club wasn't diverse enough and that Gen Z wouldn't like it because there aren't enough racially diverse characters in the movie from, what is it, 1980 something?
Yeah.
And also during the Me Too era, she wrote this whole opinion piece about how, you know, The Breakfast Club doesn't hold up to the times because of this sexual harassment that her character faced in the movie. Here she said, it's a strange experience watching a younger, innocent version of yourself on screen. It's stranger still, surreal even, watching it with your child when she is much closer in age to that version of yourself than you are. My friend was right. My daughter didn't really seem to register most of the sex stuff, though she did audibly gasp when she thought I had showed my underwear. At one point in the film, the bad boy character, John Bender, ducks under the table where my character, Claire, is sitting to hide from a teacher. While there, he takes the opportunity to peek under Claire's skirt, and though the audience doesn't see, it's implied he touches her inappropriately. I was quick to point out to my daughter that the person in the underwear wasn't really me, though that clarification was inconsequential. We kept watching, and despite my best intentions to give context to the uncomfortable bits, I didn't elaborate on what might have gone on under the table. She expressed no curiosity in anything sexual, so I decided to follow her lead and discussed what seemed to resonate with her more. Maybe I just chickened out, but I kept thinking about that scene. I thought about it again after a number of women came forward with sexual assault accusations against the producer Harvey Weinstein, and the Me Too movement gathered steam. If attitudes toward female subjugation are systemic, and I believe they are, it stands to reason that the art we consume and sanction plays some part in reinforcing those same attitudes. So she's basically claiming that her John Hughes films were contributing to systemic subjugation of women because of this stupid scene that was in The Breakfast Club.
I refuse to ever allow any of these actors to pretend to think they're as important as they think they are.
She said, I felt the need to examine the role that these movies played in our cultural life, where they came from and what they mean now. When my daughter proposed watching The Breakfast Club together, I hesitated, not knowing how she would react, if she would understand the film, or if she would even like it. I worried that she would find aspects of it troubling, but I hadn't anticipated that it would ultimately be most troubling to me.
Maybe it'd be better to analyze movies that you weren't part of first with them. Like,
you don't need to analyze.
If you're, I mean, if this is your parenting technique and you're going to use films as some sort of guidebook for your parenting style and discussions with your children, maybe the best thing you could do would be to pick movies that you don't have such a close connection with.
No, here's the thing. If you're in her position, like, just allow your kids to appreciate what those movies were for the time in which they were made.
Correct.
You don't need to reanalyze The Breakfast Club in the age of #MeToo.
Well, I mean, they love that. They love going through things that were popular in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s and reanalyzing it through the lens of modern culture. And it really is lame. And it is, but the thing is there's like a disconnect in language where it's like, I always make the joke, it was the 90s. Right? But that really is just the answer, and it doesn't need more of an explanation than that. But what it really means is it's not that deep. It's not that serious. It doesn't require... It's kind of like what I was saying with stupid Haktua lady. Mm-hmm. Not everything requires deep analysis. I tweeted last night, I said, I'm desperate to be a normie again. Like, normies aren't overanalyzing this. It was she's not overanalyzing it. They're not overanalyzing it. They're certainly not discussing the morality of it, or whether it makes her a bad person, or whether it speaks horribly about culture. They don't care. It was a moment in time.
It's a coworker.
Then they're going back. Yes, I love that description too, because that's a new one to me. It's like, oh, have you ever seen this? You go back and you look at it for what it was, and you move on. Mm-hmm. Okay, it doesn't have to be more than that. Now, it's kind of hypocritical for us because it's kind of our job to go through a lot of this stuff and talk about it in that sense, and I get that, but it's tiresome. It grows tiresome. There are certainly things that we can talk about that require deeper analysis that lend itself to talking about what they mean to the culture. Haktua Chick and Pretty in Pink in The Breakfast Club from the 80s, I think you can leave those as they are what they are.
Yeah, I think the aspect of The Breakfast Club that would be the most lost on Gen Z these days is like all of these, subcategories of people that weren't based on skin color or your genitalia.
They're like, why doesn't this look like a college brochure?
Right, like not just the racial diversity stuff, but just, the idea of rebellious characters doesn't make sense to Gen Z. There's no rebellious streak in Gen Z. They're just apathetic and nihilistic.
If you want to watch people make fun of this stuff, watch Not Another Teen Movie. I think she's in it, if I remember correctly.
Is she?
The end. Yes.
That's funny.
At the end. Masterpiece in making fun of movies like this. I recommend everyone go and watch it. Also, Chris Evans' first movie role.
Oh, really?
The best part is like he walks in to and sees a picture of himself on the school wall, and then walks further and sees a picture of himself looking at the picture of himself on the wall.
It's very meta.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.